So let's go to Florida now, where Vice President J.D. Vance is getting ready to address lawmakers again. So let's keep this in mind. Congress, we know this. It's the power of the purse. And the Trump administration needs that cash to pull off its immigration initiatives and other initiatives. So let's go to Taurean Small on Capitol Hill. You have a lot to watch today as well, Taurean. Aside from immigration and the elimination of income taxes on tips and talk of changing Social Security in very drastic ways, the reported price tag up to $10 trillion. So how does that settle in the stomach of lawmakers where you are today?
Read quite the long wish list, a lot of this correlating with campaign promises Trump vowed to his supporters, many of which sent him to the White House, that he would get done within the first 100 days. We're seeing that essentially play out very publicly, but also behind closed doors within legislators within the Republican conference. Speaker Mike Johnson said that he will now direct his budget committee to draft up a blueprint in the hopes that by the beginning of February they can begin markup on this massive reconciliation package. Whether or not this would be one or two bills would be left up to them. The president is seemingly moving away from his statement that this will be one big, beautiful bill, but he's still looking to have the majority, if not the lion's share of his campaign promises be included through this procedure. Now, how it's resonating with fiscal conservatives, especially, we could see this play out when it comes time for a vote. House Freedom Caucus members have been at odds with the president and also with the speaker about spending. They're looking to rein in so that $10 trillion price tag is a sticker shock to many of them. We'll see how it plays out, what concessions they'll make when it comes time to a vote, if that happens within the next couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, a lot of dollars, to say the least, on the line there. You heard Aaron Navarro there at the White House talking about being on confirmation watch, of course, Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, but also you're watching what happens with Transportation Secretary pick Sean Duffy. What are lawmakers saying about Duffy's path to confirmation?
Yeah, it's likely he's going to breeze through this confirmation process. He's a least controversial figure. He is, of course, a former lawmaker, a former representative from Wisconsin. So he has pre-existing relations here that he tapped in order to get through this process. We could look at a couple of things to see just why he'll be fast-tracked compared to holdups we've seen in previous nominees, specifically passing a huge vote, a key vote in whether or not to let debate continue. That happened 97-0, near unanimous there. It's likely he'll pick up bipartisan support and breeze on through. The more controversial figures, namely Kash Patel, could see some pushback. We could see Democrats use the filibuster to slow up that process. But for Duffy, he's on his way to being the next transportation secretary.
All right, so let's pick up on that. You have some new information on a whistleblower on Kash Patel. What do you know about that?
Yeah, Dan Kleibman breaking that story on CBSNews.com yesterday. According to this letter from Senate Democrats, a part of the Senate Judiciary Committee, a whistleblower is alleging that in 2020 he leaked information about a hostage exchange from Yemen regarding 3 American hostages there before the U.S. secured their return to the United States. They're calling it a huge misjudgment on his end. That, coupled with Durbin, the leading Democrat on that panel, saying that he has issues with Patel's temperament and experience to head the FBI. This is also a criticism we heard him make during the questioning of Pam Bondi, who would be the top cop for the United States if she is, and once she is confirmed, I could say, because she's receiving quite a bit of bipartisan support around her confirmation. So Dick Durbin has since moved forward, issued a letter to corresponding departments asking for every bit of information they have about that 2020 incident, again alleging from a whistleblower that he did leak the information of the return of American hostages before that was actually secured.
All right, so while we have you here, I want to get your take on something else. Senate Democrats, they held a news conference specific to those January 6 pardons. It looks like they want to keep this in the headlines for another week. Senator Chris Murphy had some very blistering remarks about the president. Stay with me. Let's listen to it and we'll talk about it.
We have to understand what is happening in context, right? The president wants you to be distracted by the day-to-day announcements, but put together the pardoning of the violent rioters, the firing of the inspectors general, and today, the stoppage of federal funding, leaving the decision only to the political whims of President Trump, represents the gravest, most serious constitutional crisis of our lifetime, one that threatens to undermine the very premise of American democracy.
So was this news conference held just about those pardons, or did they have other things to say?
They had quite a few things to talk about, but I do want to mention that quite a few other Democrats there echoed Murphy's sentiment that this is a constitutional crisis. Quite a few Democrats over the past few days have expressed discomfort with the fact that former people convicted of involvement in some way or another with January 6th are now making visits to the Capitol. Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes, for example, was here last week. A lot of Democrats are saying that could put their safety in jeopardy on top of officers who defended the Capitol on that day. They're also talking about this hiring freeze across the board that Donald Trump implemented, saying that they're getting calls from people uncertain, from organizations uncertain about how they'll be able to pay out payroll, for example. They're saying that President Trump is overstepping a lot of these executive orders, and they're hoping that Republicans who have his ear can rein him in as we expect more executive orders to come out in the coming days.
Taurean Small, yet another masterclass there from Capitol Hill. We appreciate talking to you here on CBS News 24/7. Always great to have you.